It was a beautiful Saturday afternoon. The sun was shining brightly, casting a warm glow over the entire park. Birds were singing melodious tunes, creating a symphony of nature that filled the air. The Thompson family was out to enjoy some quality time together, making the most of the splendid weather. 10-year-old George and 8-year-old Bethany were playing tag with their dad, Mr. Thompson. The park was alive with the sounds of laughter and joy as families and friends gathered to bask in the sunny afternoon.
Dad, you're getting slow!
George was incredibly fast, his legs pumping like pistons as he chased after his little sister. His determination was evident in his focused expression, and he was determined to catch Bethany. Bethany, with her infectious giggle, darted around a towering oak tree, her blonde curls bouncing with every step. She was quick and agile, making it a challenge for George to catch her. Mr. Thompson, a loving and devoted father, was filled with joy as he watched his children play. He cherished these moments, knowing how quickly time passed and how precious these memories would become. He decided to take a short break from the game, leaning against the sturdy oak tree to catch his breath. The tree provided a cool shade, offering a brief respite from the sun's warmth.
Yeah, Dad, you used to be much faster.
Mr. Thompson chuckled, ruffling his daughter's hair. He loved their playful banter and the way they always managed to bring a smile to his face.
You two are so fast. I think I need to rest for a minute.
George and Bethany, their faces flushed with excitement, took a break from their game and gathered near their father. They were both panting slightly, their energy momentarily spent.
Dad, you're getting slow. Yeah, Dad, you used to be much faster.
Mr. Thompson chuckled, ruffling his daughter's hair. He knew they were right. He wasn't as fast as he used to be, but he didn't mind. The joy of spending time with his children was worth every moment.
All right, you two, you've had your fun. Now how about we...
His words were cut short. A sudden change in his expression indicated that something had caught his attention. The playful atmosphere shifted as Mr. Thompson's eyes scanned the park, searching for the source of his concern. The children, noticing their father's sudden seriousness, followed his gaze, their curiosity piqued. The once lively and carefree afternoon now held a hint of mystery as the family waited to see what had caused Mr. Thompson's abrupt pause. The park, which had been filled with laughter and joy, now seemed to hold its breath. The birds' songs seemed to quiet, and the rustling of leaves became the only sound. Mr. Thompson's heart raced as he tried to identify what had caused his sudden unease. The children, sensing the change in their father's demeanor, clung to his side, their playful energy replaced by a sense of anticipation. As they looked around, the family noticed a small crowd gathering near the park's entrance. Mr. Thompson's concern deepened, and he decided to investigate. He took his children's hands and together they walked towards the commotion, their steps cautious and deliberate. The sunny afternoon, which had started with such joy and laughter, now held an air of uncertainty. The Thompson family, united in their curiosity and concern, approached the crowd, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As they drew closer, the sounds of the park began to return, but now they were mixed with murmurs and whispers from the gathered crowd. Mr. Thompson's grip on his children's hands tightened, offering them reassurance as they navigated through the throng of people. The family finally reached the front of the crowd, and what they saw made their hearts skip a beat. The sunny afternoon had taken an unexpected turn, and the Thompson family braced themselves for what was to come. Mr. Thompson suddenly felt dizzy. It was a sensation that came out of nowhere, a sudden wave of vertigo that made him feel as if the ground beneath his feet was shifting. The world began to spin, the laughter of his children fading into a distant hum. He tried to focus on their faces, but they seemed to blur and merge with the surroundings. He swayed on his feet, his hand instinctively reaching out to steady himself. He grasped at the air, hoping to find something solid to hold on to, but his fingers met only emptiness. But it was too late. His eyes rolled back in his head, and with a heavy thud, he collapsed onto the soft grass. The world went dark, and he was enveloped in a deep, unsettling silence.
Dad! The shout pierced the air, filled with a mix of confusion and fear.
George and Bethany watched in horror as their father fell. It was as if time had slowed down, each second stretching into an eternity. Their laughter died in their throats, replaced by a chilling fear. The joy of the moment was replaced by a stark, cold reality.
Dad, wake up! George's voice was desperate, his small hands shaking his father's shoulder with increasing urgency.
George knelt beside his father, his small hand reaching out to shake his shoulder. He could feel the panic rising in his chest, his heart pounding in his ears. But Mr. Thompson lay still, his eyes closed, his chest alarmingly motionless. The stillness was terrifying, a stark contrast to the lively man they knew. Fear threatened to overwhelm Bethany, but then she remembered something her father had taught her. It was a lesson about staying calm in emergencies, about taking action when it mattered most. She had to be brave. She had to help. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her shaking hands. Taking a deep breath, she forced herself to move, rushing to her brother's side. She knew they had to act quickly.
George, we have to do something. Her voice was firm, but there was an underlying tremor of fear. Bethany quickly instructed George to call for help. George, call 911. We need an ambulance, she said, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. George fumbled with the phone, his hands shaking as he dialed the emergency number. He could barely keep his voice steady as he spoke to the operator. Meanwhile, Bethany checked her father's pulse, just as he had taught her. She pressed her fingers to his neck, hoping to feel the reassuring thump of his heartbeat. When she couldn't find a pulse, she began performing CPR, her small hands pressing down on his chest with all the strength she could muster. George relayed the situation to the operator, his voice trembling. "My dad, he collapsed. He's not breathing. Please hurry." Bethany continued her efforts, her determination unwavering. She knew she had to keep going until help arrived. In the distance, the sound of sirens grew louder, a beacon of hope cutting through the fear. Paramedics arrived swiftly, taking over from Bethany. They worked quickly, their movements precise and practiced. George and Bethany watched anxiously, their hearts pounding as they hoped for a miracle. The paramedics worked tirelessly, and after what felt like an eternity, Mr. Thompson's chest rose and fell with a gasp of breath. Relief washed over the children as their father slowly regained consciousness. They hugged him tightly, tears of relief streaming down their faces. The ordeal had been terrifying, but it had also shown them the strength of their bond. Together they could face anything.
George looked at his little sister, his eyes filled with fear and confusion.
What can we do? Dad's not waking up.
Bethany's mind raced. What had their father taught them? Then, like a beacon of hope, she remembered the day their father had taught them about emergencies. It was a fun day, with bandages and important numbers.
George, remember what Dad taught us about emergencies? We need to call 999.
George's eyes widened in recognition.
Yes, 999 and CPR.
He had been paying attention that day, intrigued by the idea of saving someone's life.
That's right! He showed us what to do, remember? We need to help Dad!
With a newfound determination, George and Bethany sprang into action. They knew that their father's life depended on them, and they were determined to do everything they could to save him. George immediately pulled out his mobile phone, his fingers fumbling slightly as he dialed the emergency number. His heart was pounding in his chest, and his mind was racing with thoughts of his father. He knew he had to stay calm, but it was hard when everything felt so overwhelming.
999, what's your emergency?
A calm voice answered. It was a small comfort in the midst of the chaos, a lifeline that George clung to desperately. George took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. He knew that panicking wouldn't help his father, and he needed to be strong for both himself and Bethany.
My dad, he's collapsed. We're at the park by the big oak tree. George's voice was filled with urgency, his words tumbling out in a rush.
Following the instructions of the emergency operator, George placed his phone on speakerphone, laying it on the grass near his father. He could hear the operator's voice clearly, and it gave him a sense of direction in the midst of the confusion. The operator, a kind and reassuring woman, guided George and Bethany through the steps of CPR. Her voice was steady and calm, a beacon of hope in the storm.
That's right, good job. Now remember the rhythm I taught you. The operator's encouragement was like a lifeline, giving them the strength to keep going.
Bethany, her small hands shaking but resolute, positioned herself beside her father's chest. She had always looked up to her father, and now she was determined to do everything she could to save him. Remembering her father's instructions, she placed one hand on top of the other and began performing chest compressions, pushing down firmly on his chest. She could feel the resistance beneath her hands, but she didn't let it deter her.
1, 2, 3, 4, Bethany counted out loud, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped her heart.
She counted out loud, her voice trembling but strong, following the rhythm the operator had taught her. Each compression was a testament to her determination and love for her father. George, his eyes fixed on his sister and father, watched anxiously as Bethany continued with the chest compressions. He felt helpless, but he knew that his sister was doing everything she could. The operator, her voice a steady presence in the chaotic situation, continued to guide them, her words giving them strength and determination. She knew that every second counted, and she was determined to help them save their father. George reached out and held his father's hand, his grip firm and reassuring. He wanted his father to know that he was there, that he wasn't alone. Bethany's face was a mask of concentration, her every thought focused on saving her father. She didn't let the fear or the exhaustion stop her, pushing through with sheer willpower. The operator's voice remained calm and steady, but there was a note of urgency in her tone. She knew that time was running out, and she was determined to do everything she could to help. Bethany's hands moved with precision, each compression a lifeline for her father. She could feel the strain in her arms, but she didn't let it stop her. George watched with a mixture of hope and fear, his heart aching with the desire to help. He knew that his sister was doing everything she could, and he prayed that it would be enough. The operator's voice took on a note of relief as she heard the sound of sirens in the background. Help was on the way, and she guided them through the final steps with a sense of urgency and hope. The paramedics arrived, their faces a mix of determination and focus. They quickly took over, their practiced hands moving with precision and care. George and Bethany watched as the paramedics worked, their hearts filled with hope and fear. They had done everything they could, and now it was up to the professionals. The paramedics worked quickly and efficiently, their every move a testament to their training and dedication. They knew that every second counted, and they were determined to save him. George and Bethany held hands, their grip a source of comfort and strength. They had faced the worst together, and they knew that they could get through anything as long as they had each other. The paramedics carefully loaded their father into the ambulance, their movements quick and efficient. They knew that time was of the essence, and they were determined to get him to the hospital as quickly as possible. George and Bethany watched as the ambulance drove away, their hearts filled with hope and fear. They had done everything they could, and now they had to trust that their father was in good hands. They held hands, their grip a source of comfort and strength. They knew that they had faced the worst together, and they were ready to face whatever came next. The park was quiet once more, the big oak tree standing tall and strong. It had witnessed a moment of bravery and love, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. The emergency operator sat back in her chair, a look of relief and satisfaction on her face. She had done her job, and she knew that she had made a difference. George and Bethany walked away from the park, their hearts filled with hope and determination. They knew that they had faced a great challenge, and they had come through it stronger and more united than ever. The big oak tree stood as a symbol of strength and resilience, a reminder of the bravery and love that had been shown that day. It was a testament to the power of the human spirit and a beacon of hope for all who saw it.
All right, we've got it from here. You both did an amazing job.
We need to get him to the hospital immediately. Let's move quickly.
As the ambulance crew takes over, the children watch anxiously. Their quick actions have made all the difference. The professionals work swiftly, ensuring their father gets the urgent care he needs.
Stay strong, kids. Your dad is in good hands now.
The sirens wail as the ambulance speeds away, a testament to the bravery and quick thinking of two young heroes.
Dad, you're awake!
We were so scared, Daddy.
You kids did an amazing job. You saved your father's life.
Absolutely. Your quick thinking and actions made all the difference.
George and Bethany's quick response and bravery brought their dad back to consciousness. Their training and courage had paid off.
We were just doing what Dad taught us.
Yeah, we just wanted to help.
Your bravery and quick thinking are truly commendable. You have set an example for everyone.
The king honored George and Bethany for their heroic actions, recognizing their exceptional courage and presence of mind.
It's important to know what to do in an emergency.
George and Bethany shared their experience and knowledge, teaching others the importance of being prepared and knowing emergency response techniques. S2, media, children practicing CPR on mannequins, classmates learning emergency response, kids listening to CPR instructions. Yeah, you never know when you might need to help someone.
We know what to do now, and we're always ready to help.
Yes, we can make a difference just like we did for Dad.
With newfound confidence and skills, George and Bethany are always ready to step up and help in any emergency, proving that even the youngest among us can be heroes.